Hey everyone, it is Mary, and I thought I would start today by not being as emotional as yesterday, but I wanted to start today with hopefully making you be able to laugh, because that's really something that parenting is great about. So we're going to have mornings with Mary this week. Grab your coffee. This is mine. It is my favorite mug for my daughter Elizabeth, and I want to talk to you today, well, about my worst parenting moment ever. Now, I want to preface this with, first of all, guaranteed, hey Kim, how are you? I'm going to pretty much guarantee that most people watching this were not as bad of a parent as I used to be. I mean, really, how many of you have married a child molester? That was me. I did it. Okay, so I want you to have full confidence that you can be a better parent than I was. And if you were a better parent than I was, and I've got like this amazing relationship with my kids now, chances are you too are going to be able to have a really good relationship with your kids. And that's really what this is all about, is being able to help you see that you too can have an amazing relationship with your child no matter where you are in that process. So I'm going to give you a little insight about the parent I used to be. I was this parent that did exactly what everyone said. You know, being a parent is frightening. And especially if it's your first child, you have no idea what you're doing whatsoever. And you're sort of like flying by the seat of your pants, and you read what to expect when you're expecting and what to expect in the toddler years. No one has written a book as to what to expect in the school years or the teenage years. I think that's because people would probably run screaming and never have sex again if they ever did that. So when you have issues, you tend to turn to your friends or you tend to turn to your doctor, and what do they all say? Oh, you need to put that child in timeout, or you need to punish them, or you need to take things away from them. And so I did that. I was really, really good at like following the doctor's orders. So if Elizabeth was acting out and throwing things, it was, well, you need to take her things and take them away from her and stick her in her room. Now, I never really felt any of this felt good, but it's what the experts said to do, so I did it. What I didn't realize is the effects that was actually having on our relationship. So today, I'm going to share with you the moment that changed everything in my life. So sit down, it's kind of a doozy. So I want you to think about this. Elizabeth is now 19. She was 6 at the time, and we lived in a cute little house. I was a single mom, and it was the morning rush. I worked 60 hours a week. She was in before school care, at school, and after school care, longer than I was at work, because let's face it, I had to drive to work, right? It was a half an hour, 45-minute trip to work. So I already felt like crap. I was tired. I was exhausted. I felt like a shitty mother. I'd, married this molester. I was like to be blamed for everything. And to this day, I can't even tell you what it was that we got in this argument about. First of all, who argues with a 6-year-old? Like, how stupid is it to argue with a 6-year-old? It's stupid, but I did it. And she and I are going at each other. Hey, good morning, Gabriella. I'm about to tell about my worst parenting moment with Elizabeth. You are not going to believe it, because you know I am totally not like this now, but wait, it gets better. So here I am. My kitchen has these beautiful black cabinets, and no, they're red, I'm sorry, and yellow counters. It's like this 1950s dream. And she's not getting ready for school. That much I remember. I remember we had to meet the bus, I had to get to work, I had a client meeting that day, and she wasn't getting ready. She was having a panic attack. Like, how dare my 6-year-old have a panic attack? I mean, she has an anxiety disorder, right? But how dare she do this on my time? I was making her lunch fresh that morning. I don't remember what she said, but I remember what I said. And I was cutting something with a steak knife. So maybe a cucumber or something that was hard. And I remember screaming, God damn it! And I threw the knife in the sink. And it landed tip first in the sink. Well, what do you think happens when you throw a knife at full force and you're angry and you're frustrated? It bounces right back out. Yeah, that knife was headed straight for Elizabeth's head. Scared the crap out of me. And in that moment, as that knife is like flying through the air, everything stopped. Like time like stood still. And I was watching this knife flip end over end toward my baby's face. And I knew I had totally messed up. Like, there was not a worse parenting moment ever than that. Like, I'm throwing a knife at my kid's head over what? It wasn't even directly thrown at her. And I knew in that moment everything that I had been told was wrong. Because how could what I was doing be better for our relationship? How could a knife flying at my child because I'm frustrated and she's having a panic attack be positive? The knife missed her by about this much. She ran to her room in absolute terror. And I sank to the floor in absolute horrid fear of what I had done to my relationship and to my child. Now, if you know me now, you would never guess that I'd be like screaming "God damn it" at my kids and throwing knives in directly at their heads. I would say I'm a pretty chillaxed mom, but I wasn't that. I was this mom that did everything by the book. You know, if the doctor said put the kid in timeout, I put the kid in timeout. If they said take her toys away, I took her toys away. Well, in that moment, I began to realize why. Like, why was I not questioning what felt wrong to me? It obviously was wrong for my child, right? I mean, she wasn't thriving. She wasn't getting any better. It was actually getting worse. So why, me being me, why did I not question? Which is really kind of funny because I question everything now. Because I was scared. I was terrified that the experts would be wrong and that I'd have no place to go. But me being me and redheaded, I started to question everything. And I realized that parenting a child through this authoritative way actually destroys the relationship. And I had always suspected this, but I never really knew it. It was one of those things that I was like, it was in my gut, right? Sorry, I'm scrolling here. And so what I was looking about is that, like, where does this start? Where does it start that we don't connect with our children? Well, hello, let's go all the way back to the Ferber method. So yesterday I posted this video and it was all about, like crying it out and stuff. And it was the science behind it. Well, I'm not going to get into the science behind it. I can tell you when my baby cried, I physically hurt. And I could never let her do that. Both my girls, I could not let them cry it out. But if we think about how that works and what that does to a child, it says, well, I'm your parent. I'm supposed to be protecting you. I'm supposed to be here and make you feel safe. But you know what? You're crying and I want to go to sleep and I don't want to be bothered. And it starts as early as the crib that we start telling our children that their needs aren't valid. And we're told by professionals, this is what you need to do. Nope, they'll cry it out. Well, what do you think they're actually learning? They're learning you're not going to be there. Hello, maybe moment. Yeah, it was a moment for me. And then as they get older and they rebel in their terrible 2s or their tyrannical 3s or I call it their effing 4s. I hate 4. I think 4 is like 2 on steroids. I hate it. What do we do? Oh, well, we put them in the naughty chair, right? They didn't listen to what we were saying. They didn't do what we said. They're having temper tantrums. So we remove them. Once again, we remove them from the situation. We don't teach them how to deal with it. We don't talk with them. We remove them, right? And then they go to school and they come home and they have upsetments about homework and all these things. And what do? We send them to their room. You're not going to talk to me like that. Don't back talk me. Oh, you can't have that phone. You know, at one point when I was, when all the kids lived with us, I will never forget this. Reed was 12 at the time. And he was going through a really, really rough period. And tweens do that. He's getting in with the wrong crowd, all this stuff. And I will never forget, he came up to us, just gave us his phone and his electronics, and he said, take them. I've already done it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway. Like, so then what good did taking his stuff away do? Nothing. It did nothing. So then we get to their tween and teen years, right? And as parents, we are so confused about why our children don't come to us. Why don't they turn to me when they're upset? Why do they go to their friends? Well, hello, lady. You've been telling them from really early on, you aren't where they go. You aren't who they trust. You're the one who alienates them from you so that you don't have to deal with it. So if you've put 10 to 15 to 16 years into destroying that relationship of being able to talk with one another, and where you're the trust zone, they're not going to be too excited to come to you when their back is against the wall because you told them you're not going to be there. Yeah, that might have hurt, and I'm kind of sorry about that. But as Demi Lovato says, sorry, not sorry. Because here's the great news. You can change it. See, it's not all written in stone. It takes a little longer to change it when they're older, but it does happen. It is completely, completely possible. But how? You have to swallow your pride. You have to look at what the expert said and say, that's really not working. And you have to look at, how would you have a relationship with a friend? Ooh, you should be friends with your kids, people. Sorry. This whole thing of, well, if I'm friends with my kid, they'll take advantage of me. Really? Like, do you allow your friends to take advantage of you? Do you get walked all over by your friends? If so, you need more than this. You need therapy. Because who the hell allows their friends to take advantage of them? You don't. You have boundaries. If your friend's being an ass, right? And let's say they're not showing up for things, are you going to invite them? No, you're going to say, hey, this really hurts when you do this. You're going to talk to them respectfully. Would you walk up to your spouse, rip something out of their hand and say it's time to go? Hell no, you wouldn't do that. So why do we think it's okay that we do that to our children? Totally, been there, done that because I said so? That's bullshit. So the interesting thing about today's parents, and this is what brings me here, is the because I said so. So the older generation and the beginning part of my generation, so I'm Gen X. The beginning part of this, we have tended to repeat what was done. So what has been done will always be done. We'll do it again. Then you get into Generation Y, and Generation Y has part 1 and part 2. And part 1 is now those that are starting to maybe have some toddlers and stuff. Gen Y2 is just getting into the workforce. And then you have iGen. Okay, so we have all these different generations going on as usual. But Gen Y and iGen want to change how it's done. Is that not amazing? They want to look at how parenting has been done and change it to make it better. So here's a tip, guys. If you're listening to this, be friends with your kids. It's totally okay to be friends with your kids. Hey, Rita, hang out. How you doing this morning? So we were just talking about how it's really important to be friends with your kids. I'm going to talk about for a few minutes here. Hey, Deidre. Hey, Regina. I want to talk about for a few minutes what happens when you're not friends with your kids, okay? So when you're not friends with your kids and you have this authoritative idea of parenting, you create this wall between you and your child. It's the I'm the boss, do what I'm going to do. Well, who likes to work for someone like that? Do you? I don't. I'm like, that's crap. Sure, I'll do what you tell me to do, but I'm not going to like it. And I'm going to figure out a way to get around it. And I'm going to figure out a way that you don't see. I don't know, let's see if I'm at work. The social media I'm on, maybe I'm going to log into a different account. I'm going to be on my phone. I'm going to find ways around being able to do things that you don't want me to do. But if I'm a really good leader, you're going to trust me, right? You trust a really good leader. You trust someone that has your back. You trust someone that says, I'm here for you, puts down a boundary when you're not safe, and then says, you know what? Yeah, you screwed up, but hey, it's all right. Let's see how we can fix this together. It's possible. So, for example, with Elizabeth, I can guarantee none of you are as bad of a parent as I used to be. None of you on this phone call has probably, like I mentioned in the beginning, married a molester. None of you have probably thrown knives at your kids by accident. So you are like way ahead of where I was. All right, like way light years ahead of me. So there's total hope for you. And don't laugh at me because it's true. I mean, I've bared my soul to you today. I've told you my worst parenting moment ever. But even if you were as bad as me and throwing knives and like marrying really bad people, you can fix it. And you can fix it by respecting them. You can fix it by listening. You can fix it by apologizing and by really getting on their level. Spend time with them. Do things that they like to do. Do you really think I enjoy watching My Little Pony? No. Do you really think that I sometimes want to hang out in a coffee shop and discuss teenage stuff? No. But I want the relationship with my child. All right. So when Elizabeth came home when she was 12, I got to be honest, I was scared shitless. Like, she was a bitch. She was horrible. And why? Because of the parent I had been and the social situation that she had been in. All right. So she had this big defense up that she had to have in order to survive in the Ridgefield school system that wasn't for her. Okay. It works great for lots of kids. It didn't work great for Lizzie. I don't want to knock it. God, look at my photo. It keeps moving. But it didn't work for her. So we'll just leave it at that. But I had this horrible child on my hands. I was scared of my daughter. She was a bitch. Really, like, terrified of her. Terrified. But I had to do something, because having a dead child is much worse than having a bitch child. And so as we worked on our relationship and we worked on being with one another and talking with one another and respecting one another, because let's face it, a relationship and a friendship is what? It's a two-way street of respect. It's not an I say you do thing. It's let's talk about this together. We were able to turn our relationship around from this because I said so witch, that was me, to the you tween, that was her, to really be able to have the most amazing relationship, so that when she did hit the wall, when we were facing suicide attempts, when we were facing cutting 200 cuts from wrist to elbow, she could come to me and trust that I wouldn't throw it back at her, that she could trust I would be there for her and support her and love her. Man, she wouldn't have done that if I was still this because I said so bitch. It just wasn't possible. She wouldn't have been able to come to me and say, hey, Mom, I need to go to the hospital. I'm 80 pounds. I've stopped eating. I'm sick. Because she would have been afraid that I would have chastised her or made her feel bad. Now, does this happen overnight? No. No, it doesn't. It takes time. It takes dedication. It takes being able to listen and put your ego aside. It means really investing in yourself, forgiving yourself, forgiving your child. Yeah, it means being their friend. And what would you do with your best friend? You'd have a good time. Maybe you'd get pissed at each other. It happens. But it doesn't then take on this dynamic of where you're the one that controls it all, because that dynamic is very destructive. So today, I want you to look at the relationships that you have with your children, regardless of their age, whether they are 1 to 41 or beyond, and really examine, are you being their friend? And if not, how could you be more of a friend to them? What do you need to do to be a better friend? Because you see, when you change your parenting paradigm and you go from being the authoritative parent to parenting in partnership, you're going to be able to shift gradually, shift how that works. And then you're going to have that connection with your child again, regardless of their age. So if you have any questions about that, leave them below. Let me know. Share this video with anyone you like. I don't want to talk your ear off for too much this morning, otherwise it gets kind of blabby. And tomorrow morning, gosh, I have to decide what we're going to talk about. I think tomorrow morning we're going to talk about not only some mess ups, but some places maybe where you can improve your relationship with your child and how to do that. So until then, like I said, leave your questions below. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you listened to this. Share it. Go from there. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Hope you enjoyed your coffee. I'm about to have mine. Talk with you later. Bye-bye.